portray Morrie, and if you know anything about the story, he's this, he's just this amazing guy. Okay, he's incredibly sweet. He's completely normal, all aspects, but he's he's got this look on life that just makes you think, I wish, shouldn't we all be like that? Should we all, show compassion for one another, regardless of whatever the circumstances are? You know, there's so many other stories out there like that. Oh, materialistic things don't matter. We should just get along and be peaceful and everything. He understands that life doesn't work that way. But if you can, and you have a choice, you really need to just be compassionate towards one another. Very. Extremely. Oftentimes, even after the show's been over, I've found myself slipping into his voice. I've been, I laugh and I find myself, I'm just a little old man. And I've had several people who have referred to me as this little old man. And, me and him, are my beliefs the same as his? I'd have to say very close. Absolutely. Absolutely. Many times I asked, one of the audience members would tell me, at the end, I'm not going to give anything away, but they always started crying as soon as Janine started singing. And that's where it always hit most of the people in the audience. It's just the music, and when she starts singing, it's beautiful. I mean, me just sitting in the chair, I get teary-eyed. To be honest, the show ran so much smoother than I thought it would. Having, the wheelchair exchange, the very, very small little details like the heart attack scene, the stool changing, the little bitty set pieces and everything. If you came on stage, you had a character. Believe it or not, no, it was not hard at all. I did have some trouble finding, some kind of balance between Jack Lemmon's character and the actual real life Morrie, because I watched the interviews, and which are steadily alluded to throughout the play and also throughout the book. I would actually go on YouTube sometimes and try to find if there were other, Morries I could maybe steal ideas from. Because to be honest, before Tuesdays, I had no acting experience at all. So I didn't know what I was doing. And how did I create my character? I didn't create it by writing down a bunch of stuff. I didn't create it by copying someone else. To be honest, I created it by watching other people. As in, I actually went to church, and I would watch old people, how they walked. I would, pay attention to how they talked, how they laughed, how they carried themselves. How did they flirt? Because there's a scene in there in which I flirt with Janine as a grade. But it's such a funny thing, acting. When you act, you're supposed to create your own character. And I can honestly say that's exactly what I did. Absolutely. At times it was actually hard for me to even... At first it was hard for me to accept the fact that he was real. It's kind of like on the news, you hear about things happening to other people, and you hear it and you're like, oh, that's so sad. But then you see it in person, and it is a completely different experience. And it was actually hard to grasp the fact that he was real, even after reading the book, seeing the movie, seeing the interviews, reading about him from like his fan mail. I've read some of his fan mail online. Of course I know the script, but that's such a hard thing to grasp. Is that you're portraying someone who is real, and I told people that I'm very close to that we by doing this play, we reenacted 6 months of these two males' relationship in 45 to 55 minutes. 6 months and 55 minutes. That alone, just the time period, compressed into that. That alone, made me say, wow, this is pretty amazing. Most definitely. It was emotionally draining. It was emotionally draining, mentally draining, physically draining, more than you think. I wasn't just some old guy sitting in a chair. I had to show strain in my movements, just the slightest things like my hands. And that really was what brought him to life. Most of the people in the audience, they said, is that a 16-year-old up there? Or is that, a 68-year-old, or however old he is? Never mind, he's 78, I should know.
A certain amount of method acting when it came to your portrayal of Morrie. Please explain that.
Okay. I didn't exercise. At all. I should have. I really should have. But I needed to find some kind of way to portray my character. And since it's one act and it's a competitive thing, I wanted to do the absolute greatest possibility I could, put everything into it as possible. I didn't lift weights. That way I would know, how hard it was to pick up everyday objects. I could still pick up this glass, but lift a table, that was difficult to me. My arms, I didn't have any muscle. I didn't eat as much either. I slept a lot. I actually went to bed every night at 9 because that's what elderly people do. They go to bed early. Another thing I did was I started taking vitamins in the morning. Yeah. I got sick. The ending. I'm not gonna give it away, but the ending, the breathing, that was very hard for me. Also projection of voice, that was also hard because at the end I'm very soft-spoken because that's how Morrie was in real life. That's another thing that I had trouble with, is that Morrie in real life, he was very soft-spoken. From me to you, you would be able to hear him. Jack Lemmon's character, he was a bit more energetic and he was more lively. So what did I do? You know what I mean? Because in theater you have to project. I didn't have a body mic or anything. Neither did Mitch. Very family-like. I can't describe it any other way.